What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? What is going on, everybody? And welcome to the Beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and the Kansas City Chiefs defeat the Baltimore Ravens 37-20. And I'm excited to talk about this video for a multiple of reasons. A ton. I could probably go down a checklist and tell you why I'm excited to make this video. So guess what? We're going to do that. Number one, I'm excited to talk about this video because every platform that you would go to, for whatever reason, people predicted that the Baltimore Ravens were going to come into our house, Arrowhead Stadium, and defeat the Kansas City Chiefs. Did not happen. And I really think, too, that just shows you how the ebbs and flows and the dynamics of NFL seasons can really change the views on teams. Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs were struggling, but they still had a pretty solid defense. They still have the players that have won multiple Super Bowls, have gone to multiple Super Bowls, have won consecutive AFC West championships, have gone to, I can't tell you how many AFC championships. So the fact that a lot of these guys, the coaching staff, the ownership group, is still pretty much here, they're just going through adversity. They were experiencing some adversity. Heck, one of the receivers that they truly were going to depend on in the season goes out in the third play of the entire season. The start of the season, he goes out. Broken or dislocated shoulder. They had to figure out how to fight through and duct tape and stay and maintain this offense until those guys get back. Guess what? Xavier Worthy is back, for the most part healthy. It's stable. Goes out there and has a game, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to talk about all that. What I had anticipated for this video is we're really going to talk about how the scoring transpired, how it unfolded. We're going to talk about some key players. And really, I'm excited to talk about this defense, on top of obviously what the offense was able to do. But for me, ladies and gentlemen, I think the defensive prowess, the ability to do what they did and limit not only Lamar Jackson, but the fact that Derrick Henry did nothing. It just speaks to how Spags and his team really game planned, how they really instilled what they were working on into this game plan, and it worked out flawlessly. So the first quarter, obviously, the Baltimore Ravens conduct a 9-play, 70-yard, 5-minute and 25-second drive. It was a Justice Hill 11-yard touchdown pass from Lamar Jackson. Obviously, the kick would go in and it would be 7-0. My mindset at that point immediately was, okay, this is going to be a dogfight. This is going to be a great game. I feel like I even put a tweet out and said, if we're going to have a competitive game, this defense needs to go and figure it out. Boy, did I underestimate this defense. So we would follow that up with a Harrison Butker 38-yard field goal. That would be on 9 plays, 48 yards, a 3-minute, 55-second drive. And I think where one of my knocks early on in this game was the fact that we tend to get to the red zone. We tend to get within the 30-yard, get within 30 yards of the end zone. And it's like the Chiefs just can't develop or come up with good plays to get guys into the end zone. And they run some fluky things. They've run some trick plays at times that, would potentially work. But there are often times where it's like the Kansas City Chiefs just have no idea what they need to be calling once they get into the red zone. And they struggle to get in the red zone at times. This has been a question that I've had for Andy Reid for a while. He kind of changed my motive, or I guess my intention behind that question in this game as we would get to some touchdowns, but I still question a little bit of the play calling and some of the skill set it seems like we lack when we get into the red zone. So the game would be 7-3 after that Butker field goal that I talked about. In the second quarter, the Kansas City Chiefs would again 14 plays, 79 yards, a 6-minute, 44-second drive. It would put the Chiefs just 1 point down from the Baltimore Ravens. The score would be 7-6. But ladies and gentlemen, the Kansas City Chiefs would score on 4 of their first drives. So we have the field goal, follow that up with a 5-play, 56-yard, 2-minute and 46 length of drive for a touchdown. Juju Smith-Schuster, a 4-yard pass from Patrick Mahomes. That thing was a bullet, ladies and gentlemen. That would put the Chiefs up 13-7. That would be followed by a Isaiah Pacheco 8-yard pass from Patrick Mahomes, a 6-play 40-yard drive that took 1:16. That would put the Kansas City Chiefs up 20-7. Now I'm going to just give you my mindset right there. I was feeling pretty comfortable at that point. As a fan, this team has gone through multiple challenges. We saw how the first game went against the Chargers. We really kind of saw how that second game went against Philly. We saw how the game after that went with the Giants. So we really kind of were in a mixed bag right there. But having a 20-7 lead over the Baltimore Ravens really kind of created some comfortability, especially as we were heading into halftime. Now, one of the disappointing things and a lot of questions that people are having is the mindset or the state of where Harrison Butker's at, because that score could have been different. You know, the Butker would miss a field goal, and the Baltimore Ravens did drive down, kick a 43-yard field goal off of Tyler Loop. It was a 5-play, 29-yard drive that took 26 seconds. Heading into halftime, it was 20-10. But immediately coming out, we know how Andy likes to function when the coin toss goes up in the air before the game starts. He's always going to defer. And that's exactly what happened in this game. And the Kansas City Chiefs would get the football in the third quarter. They would drive down 6 plays for 65 yards with 3 minutes and 9 seconds coming off the board to a Tyquan Thornton 11-yard pass from Patrick Mahomes. That would put the Chiefs up 27-10. The next drive, the Baltimore Ravens would drive down a Tyler Loop 32-yard field goal. And I think that's consistent, ladies and gentlemen. You're seeing that the field goals were there. 8 plays, 56 yards, a 4-minute, 29-second-yard drive. Butker would follow it up, and it was 30-13. This was starting to get late in the third quarter. It was over, ladies and gentlemen, at that point. Hollywood Brown would finish this thing off with a 15-yard pass from Patrick Mahomes, putting the game at 37-13. To me, that's the end of the game. That was the end of the game. They did get a garbage touchdown from Justice Hill, a 71-yard rush. Very late in the game. There was only 1 minute and 56 seconds left in the game. And if we're being honest, the Kansas City Chiefs decided to put out their secondary and thirdary players. That's just how it was. So, if we're being honest, the score was 37-13, and that's just how it was. Now, I think some standout players. Patrick Mahomes, 270 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. We saw that precision. We saw that accuracy. We did not see the panic in the pocket. This offensive line played an A++ game. Where there's some areas that, we'll go back and we'll see some defeats, yes. But for the fact that Patrick Mahomes was not rolling back, looking at his first read, looking at his second read, and deciding, oh, crap, I got to roll out and go run this football. He was able to go through his progressions. He was able to really stand in the pocket. And if he needed a shift, his offensive line was supporting that. He wasn't running for his life this time. It was a phenomenal, phenomenal showing from this offensive line. Xavier Worthy, an unreal, ladies and gentlemen, comes back, 5 catches for 83 yards. Returning from a shoulder injury, a dislocation. I'm sure that thing was padded up and he was ready to go. But on top of that, he ran the football. I think he had well over 100 yards from the line of scrimmage. Lamar Jackson did have 147 passing yards, 1 touchdown, an interception that was beautifully played by Leo Chenal that really set up the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe we only ended up getting a field goal off of that one. But we saw a defense that was just next level from the Kansas City Chiefs. Derrick Henry only carried the football for 8 carries, 42 yards. He was heavily underutilized. Now, whether that's just the game plan that they had, something happened physically where he was injured, I don't believe so. Nothing has been reported. They just decided, hey, we're going to go pass heavy because the Kansas City Chiefs are just onslaughting us with points. Justice Hill did break free for that 71-yard touchdown that I talked about. That was with like a minute left in the game. Otherwise, this run game would have been absolutely non-existent. There would have not have been hardly anything to reflect on from this rushing attack that the Baltimore Ravens have. Chris Jones, obviously flying back from a family funeral, comes in and just provides that leadership. And I think that this next statistic really kind of speaks to his ability, this defense's ability, the game plan that Spags implemented, and it coming to fruition. Kansas City Chiefs defense pressured Lamar Jackson 48.1% of the time of his dropbacks. That is the highest passer rate he has faced in a game since week 4 of 2023. And we thought last week against the Detroit Lions was a lot. No, the Kansas City Chiefs said, oh, hey, watch this. They turned the volume up, ladies and gentlemen. They turned the pressure up. That's something that we really questioned, whether this Kansas City Chiefs defense had the ability to even do that. And now, again, that isn't solely reflected coming off of your DNs, although George Karlaftis would get a sack. Jerry Tillery would get a sack. But I think when you're really talking about being able to apply pressure in this situation, the Kansas City Chiefs really kind of gave you different packages, provided you different opportunities to figure out where this blitz was coming from. On top of that, they were doubling down with a spy on Lamar Jackson, whether they were rotating between Nick Bolton and Leo Chenal, as they were also with blitzes. And so it was really reflected in how they played this, and it was well executed. And to double down on that, Nick Bolton had 10 pass rushes, which resulted in 5 pressures. 50% of his pass rushes resulted in some type of pressure on Lamar Jackson. Lamar just could not figure it out yesterday. And that's the type of pressure, that's the type of defense you're wanting to do. I even questioned at one point, are the Baltimore Ravens going to be able to make an adjustment at halftime because of how much this defense was truly applying pressure in the first half? It's like every single time Lamar would drop back, a Chiefs player was either in his face or spying him up to not allow him to do anything. It was one of the most well-executed defensive plans I think I've seen against this team in a long time. And so I think, too, a lot of people are going to highlight the fact that there were injuries. I'm not about all that. I'm not going to listen to that noise. People are going to say, well, this Baltimore Ravens team really sustained some injuries. They really were dealing with some problems. Ladies and gentlemen, the Kansas City Chiefs did not have their top 2 wide receivers, and they had a non-existent running game. And the Kansas City Chiefs were 1-2. We could easily be 3-1. Easily. But you know what? They sustained that adversity. They said, hey, we got you. Hold on. We'll get it figured out. Did they ever? They implemented Xavier Worthy. And the craziest thing of this whole entire thing, they still have Rashee Rice on the way. They still have Rashee Rice coming off of a suspension, and he's going to provide that much more of a boost to this team. So back to the injuries. Lamar Jackson would sustain a hamstring injury. Again, a lot of people are questioning his fortitude, his will at that point. Did he technically have a hamstring injury, or was he just done playing with the game? I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to question Lamar's, team and effort and support and all that stuff. That's just not what I'm here to do. I know what I saw. I saw a frustrated Lamar Jackson. It came off of just an onslaught of just Chiefs players flying all over the place. He did get smacked around a little bit. He did walk off the field and threw a helmet. So I'll let that kind of be what it is. But they did say that the Baltimore defense was decimated with 7 starters. Again, the Kansas City Chiefs were dealing with multiple injuries. They're dealing with suspensions. I don't need to hear all that. And a lot of these guys started the game and then would eventually go out. So again, what type of injury were they dealing with? Is it going to be long-term? Those types of things. I just truly believe that this Kansas City Chiefs offense and defense, all around special teams, came to send a statement to fan bases, to the NFL, that they're still here. They are still the Kansas City Chiefs. As Pat McAfee said, the Chiefs are going to chief. And that's exactly right. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to continue to build momentum on this as we get ready to head into Jacksonville and take down the Jacksonville Jaguars because they're next on the list. I feel like it's almost like they're, all right, we got this one next. Let's do it. I feel like the Kansas City Chiefs are ready to take on their challenge, and I'm excited. My optimism did not go anywhere. It did not sway one bit. I had a ton of optimism. I'm excited about this team. I'm excited for everything that's going to happen. I truly believe that this is just up from here. And so I'm excited to continue to make these videos. There's going to be a lot of good videos coming out on this, covering this team. So I look forward to providing all of that to you all. Let me know down in the comment section what you guys thought of this football game. Let me know down in the comment section what you were experiencing during this football game if you were watching the game. I'll be interested to kind of hear your vibes, what you were thinking. Was it nice to just have some relief and not be sweating out a game for once? Because that's how I felt. It was nice to just be like, man, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win this game. And it wasn't 30 seconds with the fourth quarter. But let me know down in the comment section what you all thought. I appreciate you guys checking out this video. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, and I end every video the exact same way. Have a good day.